Good evening and welcome to the Urban Debate. I'm Pratibha. Thank you for joining us this evening. Day 2 of the Parliament's monsoon session has descended into a full-blown Sansad dangal. It was the same story yet again on day 2 as well. From the moment the House convened in the morning, the opposition went on the offensive, cornering the government over yesterday's heavy-handed police action against the CJP protesters, the ongoing NEET paper leak crisis, and the demands for an immediate statement from the Home Minister. But the real heat isn't inside the House. It is on the streets of the national capital, because drama has only intensified at Jantar Mantar as the student agitation entered its 24th day. In fact, despite last night's late-night crackdown where the police cleared tents and dismantled the stage, protesters came right back today, rebuilding their camp, shouting slogans and refusing to back down. The police officials have also registered 5 FIRs after the high-voltage protests that we saw yesterday. It spiraled into violent clashes. Security personnel, including the RAF, were deployed in full force. Officials claim that protesters broke barricades, pelted stones and damaged public property, leaving over 100 people injured. The journalists on ground, including our own Times Now crew members, were also targeted in this chaos. Protesters are accusing the police of brutal force, claiming that over 60 students were hospitalized. Rahul Gandhi as well as Priyanka Gandhi Vadra visited the injured in the hospital to show solidarity. In fact, they also held a protest outside the Prime Minister's residence. So the Congress party, which initially was not too sure if it wanted to be a part of the CJP protest or not, because the Congress party had its own protest for the students, today escalated it further, because today Rahul Gandhi as well as Priyanka Gandhi Vadra marched towards the Prime Minister's residence. These visuals that you're seeing of the Congress leaders, in fact, the Karnataka Chief Minister DK Shivkumar was also there, marching towards the Prime Minister, demanding accountability and also saying that the Prime Minister should issue a statement on this. But while all the action was taking place, with the opposition leaders extending their support to the student protest, to the CJP protest, on the other hand, the government has also taken some steps. We told you about the Union Minister JP Nadda meeting the CJP protesters. He also met with the injured today. After meeting with the protesters, he spoke exclusively to Times Now, and here's what he said.
सर सीजेपी से मुलाकात कैसी रही आपकी? कुछ एश्योरेंस सर?
So amid this chaos, the government is also making a direct pitch to the country's youth. Prime Minister Modi has emphasized today that the BJP stands with the students, reiterating that swift action was taken in the NEET paper leak case. The Prime Minister called for the strictest possible punishment against those guilty, stressing the need to rebuild trust with the youth. The Union Minister Kiran Rijiju has also echoed those sentiments, declaring zero tolerance policy against the paper leaks and appealing for unity. Listen in.
ये मोदी इसलिए मेहनत करता है कि जब आप 40-45 साल के हो, जब आपके घर में बच्चे बड़े हो रहे हो, तब आप अपने बच्चों को विकसित भारत में बड़े करते देख सकें, इसलिए मैं मेरी जिंदगी खपा रहा हूं आपके बच्चों के भविष्य के लिए।
नीट के एग्जाम के बारे में आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है कि जब का खबर आए तुरंत सरकार ने कार्रवाई किया और 13 लोगों को अरेस्ट करके जेल में डाल दिया गया है। उनका भविष्य को नुकसान ना हो, इसलिए री एग्जामिनेशन नीट का प्राथमिकता दिया गया। री एग्जामिनेशन को सक्सेसफुली, सफलतापूर्वक कंडक्ट किया गया। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अपील भी किया है कि उनका जो सजा है उसको सख्ती से सख्ती सजा कैसे दिया जाए, उसमें सारा टॉप क्लास के वकील लोग भी साथ दें। विपक्ष के साथियों से भी हम अनुरोध करते हैं कि हम मतभेद हो सकते हैं अलग अलग पार्टियों का, लेकिन संसद देश के लिए, देश का भविष्य के लिए, युवाओं के लिए काम करे।
So while yesterday we saw clashes on the streets of the national capital, the protesters clashing with the police officials injured, multiple protesters injured. Today it was Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra marching towards the Prime Minister's residence. Rahul Gandhi in fact launched a scathing attack on the Prime Minister, condemning the police action against peaceful student protesters and questioning the Prime Minister's silence, pointing to what he called a systemic collapse in India's education sector. He demanded an apology and immediate accountability. And other opposition leaders also rallied behind the students, the protesters, warning the Modi government that such kind of crackdown on protests is not acceptable.
देखिए, इशू स्टूडेंट्स की है, यूथ के फ्यूचर की है, और ये जो किया जा रहा है, लोगों को मारा जा रहा है, पीटा जा रहा है, दिस इज कंप्लीटली अनइंडियन। मोदी जी हैज नॉट इवन अपोलोजाइज्ड फॉर व्हाट हैज हैपेंड यस्टरडे।
मैं 60 साल में ऐसा तरीका जो सरकार ने आज ढूंढा है ऐसा कभी नहीं देखा मैं, और मैं वार्न करना चाहता हूं कि गवर्नमेंट अनार्की क्रिएट करने वाली है, अनार्की क्रिएट करने के लिए सब कर रही है। कोई अपोजिशन, कोई स्टूडेंट्स, कोई अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट ग्रेजुएट या कोई जनता नहीं कर रही है, सरकार खुद उचका रही है कि देश में अनार्की हो और फिर उसको दबाया जाए, लाठीचार्ज करा जाए, मारा जाए और डरा के उनको जेल में रखा जाए।
দরকার হলে ককরোচের প্রোগ্রামে আমি নিজেও যাব, কারণ আমাদের সমর্থন প্রথম থেকেই ছিল, আছে এবং থাকবে।
तो मैं समझती हूँ इतनी निर्मम सरकार है ये, और इनके इतना बच्चों ने आंसू बहाए हैं। हम पूरा सोशल मीडिया आज बच्चों के आंसुओं से भरा हुआ है, और इनके बच्चों के मोती जैसे जो आंसू हैं उस पर भी सरकार रहम नहीं कर रही है। अभी भी अपने अहंकार के तले ये लोग रिफॉर्म्स नहीं कर रहे हैं एजुकेशन सिस्टम में, ये एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर को नहीं हटा रहे हैं, और बस मन में बिठाना चाहिए, वोट के माध्यम से इनको हमको हराना है। अब एक यही हमारे पास एक हथियार है जिनको हरा के इनको यहाँ से हटाने का कार्य करना है। ये नीड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी केवल भारतीय जनता पार्टी की है, क्योंकि पिछले 10 वर्ष से सत्ता में भारतीय जनता पार्टी बैठी हुई है। जब आप हमारे युवा, हमारे बेचारे बच्चे 16-16 साल की लड़कियों को आप लाठी मारेंगे।
इतने हफ्तों से चल रहा है, आप बातचीत कल क्यों करते हैं? आप तो पहले से बातचीत करना चाहिए था उन स्टूडेंट से, और कंप्लीट मिसमैनेजमेंट है। और जो विजुअल सामने आए हैं वो आप खुद देख लीजिए, हमको बोलने की क्या जरूरत है?
किसी का सर फोड़ दिया, किसी के कपड़े फाड़ दिए, लाठी में पीठ भी लगा रखी, तो तमाशा बना रखा। 22 दिन से एक आदमी अनशन पे है, 23 दिन से आप उससे बातचीत नहीं करोगे? इतने अहंकार में हो? पूरी दुनिया में घूम घूम के आप मेलोडी चॉकलेट खा रहे हो, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड सैर कर रहे हो, तो ये ठीक बात नहीं है।
So let's open this up. Guests joining us this evening: Dhirendra Tayal, spokesperson of the BJP; Shaina NC, spokesperson Shiv Sena; Pranay Ajmera, leader of the NCP SP, and Parvinder Singh Sethi, political analyst. Thank you for joining us. There are many questions. Of course, the biggest question is whether the police crossed the line by treating protesters like hardened criminals, or did the protesters defy the prohibitory orders inviting such police action? And did the government miscalculate in first refusing to even acknowledge this protest and then now meeting them after the march got such huge numbers? It's an issue that resonates with the people. The question is, has the government come across as harsh and unsparing? Because the Constitution guarantees the right to protest and disagree. But there are also questions for the protesters. If you're accusing the police of excesses, why is it that these protesters are silent on the stone pelters? Police officials cornered, journalists targeted for merely reporting from the spot. Do you agree with this heckling and targeting of those that you dislike? If you want accountability in the education department, should it come this way? Let me begin by asking the representative of the BJP, Mr. Dhirendra Tayal, on whether you think the government miscalculated, because this protest has been going on for about a month now. You didn't want to engage with Sonam Wangchuk. Now, when the protesters hit the streets, when there is violence, you have a representation from the government having a conversation with the protesters. Why wait for so long?
Thank you, Pratibha. The primary issue is what is the genesis of this whole thing and why is it erupting at this moment? So two things here. One, that the protesters were not the students, because no NEET student is going to say that I want the chicken neck of India broken. No student is going to say, talk about tukde tukde of India. All these were slogans we heard there. So these were goons of the political parties, of Aam Aadmi Party, of Congress, and this is on record. Some of the people have reported. Saurabh Bhardwaj has been telling Ajit Anjum that we have handpicked these goons, and look what will happen now.
Okay, are you saying that everyone here is a goon? No, I just want to get this clarity because the BJP has said this multiple times. Are you saying that every single protester is a goon, or are you saying that this was a student movement but it has been hijacked? What is the stand of the party?
Were using innocent students as shields. The same people who were saying they were leading, the spokesperson of the so-called CJP was having a burger in a metro while these students were there protesting. The so-called leader was covering behind a truck because the innocent students were being misled and they were being used as shields by these goons. And it is these goons who were well prepared to incite the violence, to do stone pelting, to do the public property damage. No NEET student is going to do that. NEET has been conducted. It has been conducted successfully. This second point I want to raise here, which is extremely important, and I'll give you data on that. This happens before every parliament. Now, let me give you data. On the farmers report, a farmer report on farmers came out on February 3rd, 2021, and the session had begun on Jan 29th, 2021. Next, Pegasus report was published on July 18th, 21. The parliament was to start on July 19th. The Heidenberg report, Jan 24th, 2023. The session was starting on Jan 30th. I can give you 5 more examples. But that is the key, that this is being orchestrated. It is desperation because they are out of power. This is desperation and it is being orchestrated.
Okay, so you're saying that timing is very suspicious? No, I'm just asking you, Mr. Dhirendra Tayal, I just want to ask you, because you said the timing is suspicious, because you said that goons have also used these students as a shield, but you would agree that the NEET examinations did take place recently and there was a lot of anger. Students were protesting. This is an issue that resonates with the students. My only point is, do you think the government should have engaged with the students? Or are you saying that there is no point of it because this is nothing but a toolkit?
Pratibha, I completely agree that the NEET was extremely important and the Prime Minister has himself said an immediate action was taken. Successful NEET was conducted. Now, what we need to understand, how is it that suddenly AI-generated OMR sheets came out after that? There is somebody who is planning this whole thing. Now, tell me, of influencers were paid 60,000 rupees for a tweet and a video. Who is funding this? NEET students? The Arvind Kejriwal himself is on record, Jan 2014, saying, my brand of politics is anarchy. I am an anarchist, and that is what they are doing. So let there be no doubt about it. They are the ones who are behind this.
Okay, so you're saying that this entire protest is nothing but a agenda by the opposition or the same protesters that we see always. It's not so much of a student movement, but it is a movement that is born out of politics. Shana, do you agree with that? Because there was a lot of anger. When the NEET examinations took place, the government also admitted that there have been lapses. The question that these students are asking is, will there be no accountability? Their demand is the resignation of the education minister and fixing accountability, to have transparency. Is it right for the government to respond to these protests by merely calling it a toolkit, questioning the timing and also discrediting it only because the opposition leaders have now also joined the protest?
So our party clearly believes that the youth of this country is not the future, is the present. And of course, they're entitled to agitate, they're entitled to protest. However, the questions that have been raised by the BJP or the NDA particularly is the timing. Now you have Parliament in session. There are lots of MPs who can raise questions, calling attention, short duration discussions, questions within these 19 sessions. So you can actually use this to address, concretize, and come up with whatever questions you have vis-a-vis the education minister or the ministry. Having said that, I think dialogue is the only way forward. The children who have been released on bails, of course, nobody wants protesters, to be put behind bars or any kind of lathi charge. One would expect, and one does want, and that is what the government's endeavor is, to set up committees, have these talks with the student leaders, with the people participating, and that's what they did by meeting with Nadda ji.
Okay.
The Prime Minister has always said.
But was there a delay? Because Sonam Wangchuk had been protesting or had been on a hunger strike for 20 days, and now it came to violence on the streets for JP Nadda to meet the protesters. Was there a delay? Should this engagement with the protesters have taken place much before?
Yes, we can continue to deliberate and discuss that, but I think both sides need to understand that when you have a dharna, you need to have dialogue, discussion, debate too. It can't be a one-way mission. And of course, law and order is a very serious state subject. You have to keep the rest of Delhi and the rest of the national capital safe too. So the police sometimes acts, you may call it a knee-jerk reaction, but sometimes to contain a situation. Now, if you look at previous protests, whether it was the farmers, JNU, Anganwadi, there are lots of questions where the timing is only at the time of when Parliament is on. And I would only want to say, as a taxpayer of this country, forget being a political representative of Shiv Sena, our party feels clearly that do not take law into your hands. Deliberate, discuss. There are committees, there are advisory committees, there is the option of deliberating on the floor of the House. The opposition only chooses to sensationalize an issue and have all this drama outside. Why would you do that? Okay. This is not the way forward in a democracy. You will have slogans, protests. I may agree, you may disagree. Somebody may be a legitimate voice of dissent, somebody may not. But having said that, Parliament is the temple of democracy. So please respect it. And during session, if you just choose to escalate, then I think you need to understand the government also needs to take stands to contain situations so that other citizens at large are not.
Okay, so Pranay, is the opposition erring in not bringing up the issue in the Parliament and joining the protest when there have been violations? Because prohibitory orders were in place, the students were protesting, which is why the police responded. Government, in fact, the BJP is also questioning the timing of this protest, saying just before the session begins is when we see these protests take place, and we've seen a certain pattern. That's what the BJP says.
Pratibha, the opposition is trying their best to initiate a dialogue and debate at the floor of the House. Today, Mr. Rahul Gandhi and other opposition leaders met the Honorable Speaker, where the Honorable Speaker had asked that he will discuss the issue with the ruling party and then only would be able to come into conclusion whether to initiate a debate on this very important issue or not. Okay, this is the first point. Okay. Second, you use a word, Pratibha, delay. Ma'am, the timing word. Sorry, ma'am, that old man is sitting on a hunger strike for the last 20 days. Have you ever imagined in your wildest dream that that particular man would be able to survive a hunger strike for 20 long days? The monsoon session of the Parliament has only started yesterday, but the protest has been taking place for the last 20 days. So the question of timing does not arise here. Okay. The point is the government is too arrogant to initiate a dialogue with the youth of this country. Okay. For a moment, Pratibha, allow me a minute, Pratibha. For a moment, let's assume that you do not support Wangchuk or CJP. But do you support the glorious future of the students or not? Could that be compromised at any cost? And when someone failed miserably to perform his duty in a desirable way, he ought to resign. I don't want Mr. Modi to sack Pradhan, but we are just asking for his resignation, and that is more than enough. Okay. And ma'am, heavens will not fall. Adults will not fall.
Okay, so
If a minister
Parvinder Singh Sethi,
is removed-
what is the demand of the protesters? Because the government has questioned everything from the timing of the protest to whether this is even a student movement or not, saying that the opposition is politicizing the issue, that their demands are changing by the day.
डिमांड चेंज नहीं है। आप इस बात को देखिए कि उन्होंने डिमांड की है कि नित पेपर के लिए जो है एक कानून बनाया जाए ताकि ये दोबारा ना हो। उसके बाद उन्होंने ये बोला है कि जो शिक्षा मंत्री है उनका रेजिग्नेशन चाहते हैं और जो बच्चों ने जाने गंवाई है उनको कंपनसेशन 1-1 करोड़ का मिलना चाहिए। देखिए, ये सरकार का जो रवैया है बहुत ही एरोगेंट है और वो देश की प्रजा की कोई रिस्पेक्ट नहीं करते, कोई परवाह नहीं करते। चाहे फार्मर्स एजिटेशन हो, जब 750 किसानों ने अपनी जान दे दी, 13 महीने बैठे रहे, उसके बाद उन्होंने कानून वापस लिए। जब रेस्टलर्स बैठे थे तब बृजभूषण शरण को उन्होंने प्रोटेक्ट करा और उसके ऊपर कोई वो नहीं लिया। मणिपुर पे भी वही हाल था। अब जब देखा, देखिए 20 दिन से जब वो पहले दिन बैठे थे, शिक्षा मंत्री को या गृह मंत्री जी को उनको बुलाना चाहिए था, उनसे डायलॉग करना चाहिए था, उनको एश्योरेंस देनी चाहिए थी कि ये जो उनके भविष्य के साथ खिलवाड़ हो रहा है ये भविष्य में नहीं होगा। हम इस बात की एश्योरिटी देते हैं और आप जो उनकी बाकी मांगे उनके ऊपर वो नेगोशिएट कर सकते थे। लेकिन उन्होंने एक पीसफुल मार्च को, जो बड़े ही पीसफुल तरीके से मार्च किया जा रहा था, मैंने देखे कल सारा कनॉट प्लेस जाम कर दिया गया था, मैं भी उसमें फंसा हुआ था। वहां पे जो बच्चे थे वो उनके चोटें लगी हुई थी, उनके पैरों में चप्पलें नहीं थी और वो रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे थे।
जी, जो पुलिस ऑफिशियल्स हैं उनको भी चोटें लगी हैं, जो जर्नलिस्ट कवर कर रही, there were journalists who were at the spot, even they have been injured, our own colleagues have also been injured.
नहीं, मुझे उसके ऊपर भी सिंपैथी है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था। लेकिन जब आप
तो but where is the condemnation? We have not heard a single word from even CJP. वो ट्वीट कर रहे हैं, इतनी सारी अपडेट्स दे रहे हैं, not even one sentence saying that अगर पुलिस ऑफिशियल पे कोई अटैक हुआ है तो we condemn it.
मैडम 60 बच्चे जख्मी हुए हैं, लाठीचार्ज करी गई है, आंसू गैस के गोले छोड़े गए हैं और उनको मारा गया है। जब उनको मारा गया, बुरी तरह से पीटा गया, तो तब वो सड़कों पे आए हैं, तब उन्होंने ट्रैफिक जाम करा। तो आपको पता है 2 घंटे कनॉट प्लेस पूरा जाम रहा है। मैं भी उसमें बाई चांस फंसा हुआ था।
जी, मैं बात कर रही हूँ वायलेंस की, जो जैसे आप कह रहे हैं that police officials were indulging in लाठी चार्ज, while that is wrong or you can question the police officials, on the other side there is also another side. There is also the side of the protesters also heckling the journalists. There are visuals that show police officials को घेर के they were heckling the police officials. Will you condemn it? That's the question. Because if one is wrong, then the other also you have to agree is wrong.
I strongly condemn this kind of behavior. नहीं होना चाहिए। लेकिन आप एक बात को समझिए ना, जब 60 बच्चों को मार के हॉस्पिटल पहुंचा दिया जाएगा तो बच्चे क्या करेंगे अपने आप को बचाने के लिए? एक बीजेपी की कार्यकर्ता ने जाके अभिषेक के ऊपर ही इंक फेंक दी। अब आप आज उसका बयान आया कि मैं किसी पार्टी से को बिलोंग नहीं करती, मैं तो इमोशन में गई थी। अरे आप एक बात देखिए ना, अगर वो हमारे देश के बच्चे हैं, हजारों बच्चे, एक धरना प्रदर्शन एक क्रांति का रूप ले लिया जाता है, देश के अंदर हाहाकार मचती है और जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी हैं, हमारे गृह मंत्री जी हैं, उनके कान पे जू नहीं रेंगती। उनको कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता कि हमारे देश के बच्चों का भविष्य खराब हो रहा है।
Shaina, since questions have been raised on the timing of it, he also spoke about how it was the same response from the government when it came to the farmers' protest, when it came to the wrestlers' protest. Now, when it comes to the students' protest as well, is this going to be the standard response of the government to say that this is a certain toolkit that's playing out and discredit the entire protest? And you mentioned the opposition as well. The opposition is trying to raise the issue, is bringing an adjournment motion in the Parliament to have the discussions on NEET, but the government has not conceded or said that we are ready for a debate on NEET.
So, Pratibha, I think the solution would be for them to pick 3 to 4 student leaders to talk and dialogue with the government. Violence, property damage, can only cause this kind of a disarray for citizens at large. And anybody is welcome to have a peaceful, disciplined protest and to make their points, even if they choose to be supported by certain fringe elements or toolkits, as one has seen. That is the secondary question. But the question here is, what exactly do they want? Free rollback, jobs, policy change, etc. All of this happens in Parliament. This is the best time to raise these issues in Parliament, where MPs can talk about your cause in the monsoon session, submit memorandums, be it to the Education Ministry, the Home Ministry, whatever they deem fit, and social media to be used for briefings which are based on the issue and not just sloganeering. I mean, you have doctors, you have parents, you have civil society, all of whom believe that our youth are our future, they are the present, and there needs to be an immediate kind of a separation between law and politics. But having said that, if you believe that you can hold the city to ransom, or for that matter, even whether it's a journalist or somebody who is doing their job at the police, I think that's not fair. We have to view it both ways.
Okay.
And at the secretary level, there are committees which have been set up for the student representatives within 7 days itself. So for all those who talk about timing, I don't think the government can be more proactive than what it's done. I would only request that when you have any issue which you want addressed in Parliament, the right timing is in the House, on the floor of the House, rather than being protests outside, which inconvenience and sometimes hurt even laymen or bystanders who are just looking at this and wondering why it has not been resolved.
So, Pranay, what the government has said previously as well, and the police officials have said, is that prohibitory orders were placed. Permission should have been taken for this march. It was not granted, so the police had to use force. About the opposition leaders being a part of it as well, the government says that we are ready for a debate, but it should be in the Parliament. Do you think that the government has been proactive in actually listening to the protesters or the demands or the actual grievances in the case?
When the government became active is the question. Forget the word proactive. Pratibha, protest is the basic essence of democracy. My respected sister Shaina ji was saying that the dialogue should happen, the memorandum should happen, everything. I agree with everything. But she herself comes from the Shiv Sena party, which she has recently joined. And Shiv Sena has always been a party of protest. They always protested on the streets to make, demand whatever they felt right. So here the students have been raising demand. The demand is legitimate. Unfortunately, the government is in so much of arrogance that they don't want to pay heed to their demand. Mr. Wangchuk wrote letters to the government, didn't he? But he never replied.
Okay.
The members of the CJP and other associate people in the hunger strike wrote many letters, tried to visit politicians, but they never replied. And when the protest went out of their hand, they have become proactive with all these.
So, did the government respond only when the protest went out of hand? Because you're telling us that these are goons. Then why is the government now engaging with them? You're saying there was no need to engage because these are just protesters who have been protesting for every issue in the country. But on the other hand, the government has engaged with them. So are they actually students who are protesting? Then why the delay? And if they are not students, why is the government engaging with them?
Is that for me,
Yes.
Fatima?
Yes.
Okay. So let us be clear. Nobody ever said that they were all goons. I would want to go back and said the students were being used as shields and the goons were there because it was orchestrated. They were the ones who incited the violence. They were the ones who threw the stones. No neat student is going to throw stones at police. Right? Let us be very clear on that. The other thing which has been mentioned, that an old man was dying. Actually, it is these people who are orchestrating this, who want that old man to die so that it gives them a cause. It is the High Court, it is the government who is saving that old man. They even went and lied that he is under hospital arrest when the hospital authorities said he's under no arrest. His family is meeting him all the time. There are absolutely no restrictions. It is they who want to kill him and the government who wants to save him. And actually speaking, he is being used as a pawn, just like Arvind Kejriwal used Anna Hazare. They are making Sonam Wangchuk, another Anna Hazare, and exploiting him.
So is the government ready for a debate in the Parliament? Because they say that we are ready to debate anything. The opposition says the need of the hour is not the certain bills that have been mentioned by the government. The need of the hour is the NEET examination paper leak. Is the government ready for a debate?
The government is always ready. Karan Rijiju has said we are ready for everything in the Parliament.
Pranay is disagreeing. You can see Pranay disagreeing and saying it doesn't seem to be happening.
That is his duty. That is his duty. Let him do that. It is one thing to wave. No, but
I
let me
will come
finish.
with
Let
my-
me finish, Pranay. Let me finish. It is one thing to wave a blank red book and call it the constitution, another to go by it. Now, parliament cannot function that I am the entitled prince of this country. When I say something, whether it is the parliament or whatever, it has to go the way it has to go. Now, there are rules and procedures, and even
Pranay?
the ruling party cannot defy those procedures, provided you follow them.
Okay.
The problem is we
Okay,
don't
let
want to
Pranay
follow
respond.
them. We don't have a leg to stand on.
Okay.
That is the problem.
Pratibha ji, my learned friend Dhirendra ji must have forgotten that there used to be an era when BJP was in opposition and session after session used to be washed out due to the BJP protest at the floor of the house. I would love to recall here that once senior leader Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji had shown displeasure with the way BJP used to work in the floor of the house. My learned friend must remember this. Now let me tell you the intent of the government. If they really wanted to have a dialogue or a debate, they would have initiated the procedure far back. You know, they are coming up with all these dialogue, debates, and whatnot of things right after the moment when these things had gone out of their hand.
Out of hand. Okay, we have to come to a close on this debate. I want to take closing thoughts from Mr. Dhirendra Tayal on whether the government should have done things differently. In hindsight, did you expect the protests to become so big that the government will have to respond? Were you trying to delay it as much as possible, not go there at all until you could, and then finally engage with the protesters when the government really had to? Your closing thoughts.
The issue is very clear. One, what he has just said, Pranay has just said, that look, I mean, it used to happen in the past. So we are only doing what used to happen. So why blame us? So he's admitting they're creating a ruckus. So I can understand that part of the story. So very nice that he has admitted it himself. Two, he is saying that since we wanted it, so the government should have expected it and should have taken action earlier, because they should have known that this is what we would be wanting to debate. Now, I think that's going a little too far. The last thing I want to say is, if the goons were not involved in this protest, why was there a nara that keeping Umar Khalid in jail is wrong? What has that got to do with NEET? And what has that got to do with this protest? That clearly tells you who's behind this. When Arvind Kejriwal and Rahul Gandhi both say the youth should follow Bangladesh and Nepal, what are they looking for? They are only looking for their own political convenience.
If you think it is that toolkit, why is the government now engaging with them then? Then why did...
We're engaging with the students. We will engage with the students always.
Okay, so you're saying students protest, we will give heed to it, but not any of the other protests and the other demands.
The Prime Minister had said so very clearly, we will engage with the students. We held the NEET again. We've done it successfully. We want the students in place, but we will not tolerate goons. Yes, those people who will create a ruckus for this country will not be tolerated.
Okay, all right. There's a lot of drama that has taken place already. We've already seen Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra as well marching to the Prime Minister's residence. It doesn't look like the opposition is going to give up anytime soon. Of course, in the garb of protest, we also saw violence take place. The police also lathi charging the students. And of course, the students also in multiple cases assaulting the police officials as well as the journalists on the spot. So it started off as a student protest. It seemed to have escalated to something a lot bigger. But the politics of it aside, we really hope that the issues of the students are addressed. We leave it there tonight. I'm thanking the guests for joining us this evening.